So Cyberpunk 2077 is out, and finally, and was probably one of the most anticipated games in probably gaming history, with good ratings from critics and gamers, with a Steam rating of 7 out of 10. Pretty good, aside from all the bugs. My first impression of the game was that of excitement, which I haven't felt about a game in a long time, probably since I was a teenager coming from home after school wanting to play Modern Warfare 2. However, while playing the game, I came across some really annoying design choices that were clearly overlooked in testing or just simply underdeveloped. Some of them actually made me want to throw my controller at the screen. So here is my top 5 most frustrating design choices in Cyberpunk 2077. So at number 5, camera switches in vehicles. Now there is a lot wrong with the driving mechanics, and trust me, I will get onto those later in the video. But for some reason, the camera switching is so frustrating and glitchy and inconsistent, and I don't know why. I find myself hoping and praying every time I press the camera switch button. It's so temperamental, it's unreal. While playing, I did find a way around this problem. I found that if I pressed the map button, or the call button, or the radio button, and then exited the UI for each, the camera finally switched, but even this was inconsistent. The reason why changing camera was so important for me was because some of the vehicles in first person had very limited view outside, which forces me to switch camera. When this doesn't work, it can be very frustrating and almost stops the flow of the game. Number 4, the driving mechanics in Cyberpunk 2077 felt super slow and unresponsive at times, and then too sudden other times. For example, the brakes in most vehicles are terrible. The stopping distances are really bad. For such a futuristic game, you'd have thought the braking technology would be advanced by now. My real life Hyundai i20 stops quicker than these cars. The steering is slow and unresponsive. When you turn the car and recenter the joystick, it takes a second or two for the wheel to recenter in game. So I found myself constantly overcorrecting the car, crashing into everything in my path. Driving at high speeds, weaving through traffic was difficult, and it didn't help that cars and barriers would pop into existence right in front of the car, causing a huge crash. The cars are so bouncy, literally going over a bump or the curb in these things sends them flying off the ground, impeding your ability to change direction or slow down. This causes me to crash even more than I already am. Just watch this gameplay footage of me just driving to Judy's from town. You can see I pull up to a junction, and this is when I press the switch camera button. Remember this. I try my little UI trick to change the camera. And also, what the heck is this? It's always there, and I don't know if it's just me and my game, but this is always there. Even the map is glitchy. Oh dear. Anyway, I carry on down the street and notice how much glare from the sun I'm getting. So not only is the visibility bad in this car, I'm also blinded by the sun, so I can't see anything. I'm dodging through traffic, and I'd like to think of myself as a pretty decent, competent driver when it comes to games, but every little bump and corner I nick, it sends the car flying. You can see I'm making constant adjustments in the steering to correct the direction of the car, and I can't see anything. Notice here, I only just spot the exit. That's because of the map. I'll get onto that later, don't worry. Every adjustment so far has been really minor, and notice how the car is just uncontrollable. See that right there? I made a very small adjustment to avoid the oncoming vehicle, and the car slammed 90 degrees into the barrier. Oops, another mistake there. Now what the heck is going on here? Look at that. I just get thrown sideways and I can't move the car. Great. Right, there. See that? The camera finally switches after about 3 minutes from pressing the button. I didn't press it at all after the start, and it switches there. And then I pull up outside Judy's and look at the damage from just a short trip. At number 3, romancing options. Now of course, I don't mean the options you get in quests when you romance the characters. I mean after the quests, when you're finally in a relationship with a character of your choice that you spent hours courting to finally be together. The disappointment after doing this is shameful for a game of this caliber. There is no dialogue with a character after the quests. Now obviously I'm not talking about the text messages with them, I mean the physical conversations you have with them at their apartments or camps. They just stop and leave you repeating conversations with them over and over, when all I want to do is have a nice chat after work. Even when you call them up, they repeat the same dialogue options. Only the text messages shed some light on this, but then I can't experience the incredible voice acting. Some of the text messages between V and Judy, for example, are great. There was a moment early in the morning where Judy was out with some friends and she drunk messaged V, sparking off this really funny conversation, albeit short-lived, but still really, really fun. And then the following morning she messaged apologising for the drunk chats. That's another thing too, is the text conversations are so short-lived. Why couldn't they just be in real life chats? They would have been 10 times more immersive, as you wouldn't be stuck in the game's UI the whole time, which is buggy enough as it is. But this conversation was really good. It's such a shame, and something they need to add in before they even think about making an online version of the game. At number 2 is the final mission. I really don't like a final mission that can never be completed. Horizon Zero Dawn did this in their game, where the events that happen in the final mission meant the end game would be completely different. They should have done what Red Dead Redemption 2 did with the epilogue. After Arthur Morgan dies, you then play as John Marston. And what made it worse is for some reason I couldn't figure out how to untrack a job in the journal. All I could do is just track another one or complete the quest. That's all fine and dandy until you get into the final quest, which you can never complete. Because once you finish the game, it just sends you right back to your last free roam save. So this quest never leaves your journal. And at number 1 is the map scaling. Oh my god. I know some of you might be disappointed, but for a game about following a yellow line, it is actually extremely hard to follow, ruining the experience. I can't tell you how many times I flew past a turning and had to slam on the brakes to do a UE in the cross junction, and realising the god-awful turning circles, even the smallest vehicles. It actually got to the point for me where driving a slower car would get me to my destination quicker, and actually more manageable and more enjoyable. The map scaling is absolutely dreadful. It's fine on foot, it just needed to be zoomed out or tilted back a little so I could actually see where I was going. GTA 5 got it perfect first time, with their camera zooming out on entering a vehicle and be already tilted back slightly. In fact, I thought it was just my bad driving at first. This combined with the awful turning circles, the terrible brakes, the twitchy steering. I get the realistic driving aspect of a game, but it just fell flat in practice. As a gamer driving, you naturally drive as fast as possible, so to have a delayed steering and dreadful braking system, it takes some time to master. I found myself constantly looking at the map when driving, and all I wanted to do was soak in the atmosphere and the incredible cityscape the game has to offer. This then made me crash even more as I wasn't looking where I was going, ultimately breaking the immersion this game dragged me into. Now don't get me wrong, when driving at low speeds it's smooth and realistic and fun, and once I got used to the mechanics it did get easier for me to control. But CDPR, what have you done? So that concludes my top 5 most frustrating design choices in Cyberpunk 2077. What did you think? What were your choices? Let me know down in the comments, and remember, this is my opinion while playing through the game. Thanks for watching, and be sure to leave a like if you agree with anything on this list. Stay hydrated.